Hi everybody, Anthony Morgan's Training Academy. Today we're dealing with scissors. Okay, got two types here. Okay, I put my fingers through here and I can hold it like that. This one's got a thumb hold and a two finger hold. Now, a lot of times, when you're using the thumb goes in like this, and that's the way you use them for cutting paper or for cutting hair. Okay, a lot of times, just depending on, if you're working them like this. But as a tool, you can carry these anywhere, okay? Even in Australia, you're allowed to have scissors. And they're not too keen on having handguns or having knives, but in Australia, you can carry scissors. Now, what are you carrying the scissors for? And how are you planning on using them? So today we're going to be working a little bit on heaven and earth, okay? And I say heaven and earth. You notice this pair here, I put my two fingers through and I just clamp that, okay? I just clamp it. I'm not gonna put my thumb through there because it's gonna be very uncomfortable to wheel. So, and don't always think that the scissors are gonna be like a karambit that you can take and say, okay, well, I'm gonna spin this, okay? Not a good idea. You can, but, so I'm just two fingers and I'm just gripping this. Now, this one I can just do with a regular, this will be heaven, this will be earth. Now, as I move in, I may scoop here, I may thrust, I may slash here, okay? I may thrust again. So having two pairs of scissors, a lot of in the Filipino culture, a lot of times it was three scissors, okay? You'd have one for discard, and you would have two to fight with. Now, and I say to fight with, who's going to think anything about carrying scissors? But a lot of in the Filipino culture, there was a lot of things that were carried that weren't everyday weapons. And so with this, it's just, we're going to start with the left hand's going to be heaven, the right hand's going to be earth. So I may scoop here and I may thrust. Okay, this is a really cool pair of scissors. It's got a really sharp tip. Okay, so as I scoop, I thrust. Okay, now I may press and I may slash. Now the slash is not going to be a real great slash because the edges aren't sharp. Okay, but as I talked about yesterday, on the drag may just be that. Okay, may be that. Okay, so you'll still do, damage with just the tip. But on this, it's not so much as a slashing weapon as much as a thrusting weapon. So if I hook here and I thrust here, a lot of times I'm going to thrust here again with a backhand. Now, training with scissors can also be hazardous to your health, especially if you don't understand how to make this travel here. When I move up here and I move to here, okay, it can be hazardous to your health. So now if I move this one to earth and this one to heaven, now I can scoop here and I can thrust with the scissors here, okay? Now, I can always come over here and do a reverse thrust. A lot of options, okay? Now, I can go both on earth position, okay, here and here, okay? And I'm not at jeopardy of getting cut, okay? I can do this all day long, okay? I'm not gonna really get cut. But the piercing point, which is here, is where I guess the danger would come in. Okay, so especially with this one, it's a really sharp point. So if I move in here, it's gonna bury itself. So I can scoop, I can hit. Now if I have both on heaven position, okay, now I may just move here, okay, I may just cover here, okay, and I may thrust, I may go back. Now, every thrust has a slash and every slash is a thrust. So if I thrust here, so I can slash, but with a pair of scissors, it's not going to be very effective, okay? It may transfer me, though, from here to here so I can get that next thrust in on this side. So if I thrust here, I may slide that so I can get the thrust in over here. So every thrust is a slash, thrust, slash, thrust. Okay, so, especially with scissors, like I said, you could build a really nice little leather sheath for it. Who's going to ever think? Carry it on your side. A lot of times electrician scissors are real small. and you know, and they cut really well, and they're still a good tool. So both heaven, okay, I may cover here, and you know, I can always, you know, put my Wing Chun in there, okay. So I say Wing Chun, I teach Wing Chun Do from Sijo James DeMille. I don't teach Wing Chun. Make sure that's clear. I don't teach Wing Chun. I teach Wing Chun Do. So anytime that I'm moving all this, I'm moving these hands, I'm covering with the scissors, okay, here. Okay, and I will still a lot of times index finger here to that position here, okay, here. Okay? So get a pair of training scissors, okay, and pair of training scissors. Just take a grinder and grind off the tip. They work great, okay, and when it all comes down to the nitty gritty, you know, if you're carrying a pair of scissors, they're going to be a great tool. And so thanks for subscribing to my channel, and thanks for sharing my videos. And everybody have a good new year, and I will see you on the next video.